Hi, and welcome back to the series Meditation for the Modern Mind. This is episode 2, and we're going to be focusing on the fact that your mind isn't the problem, that it's just about learning to return. So hopefully this last week, if you've been following along with the series, you practiced noticing. That was the skill that we discussed in the last episode. So hopefully you now have some experience of just sitting and noticing whatever existed, and to meet it with curiosity, compassion, and no judgment. But if you have been practicing for the last week, when you were sitting there focusing on your breath, you probably noticed maybe you started thinking about your grocery list or replaying an awkward conversation from like 3 years ago, or even thinking about what are you going to have for dinner. And then you catch yourself and maybe you think, oh, I'm supposed to be meditating. Or maybe you think, oh, dang, I'm terrible at this. I hear it all the time. In fact, people tell me that they can't meditate because they can't stop thinking. But what if I told you that the wandering mind isn't evidence that you're doing it wrong? The whole point of meditation is to have the awareness that you are not focused on what you intended to focus on, and just being able to come back. So in the last episode, we talked about what meditation is and what it isn't. We talked about how meditation is not about emptying your mind or forcing yourself to feel peaceful or anything other than how you're feeling in that moment. It's just about learning to be present with whatever arises. So today, we're going to explore one of the oldest and most widely practiced forms of meditation. It is called a focused attention meditation. And the reason it's called focused attention meditation is because you have a point of focus. So this is often where people begin because it teaches one of the most fundamental skills that we can develop. And it's the ability to bring our attention back because we know what we want to focus our attention on. So the skill is to be able to bring that attention back again and again and again. So imagine if you walked into a gym, you picked up a weight, you curled it one time, and then you just put it down and said, I can't do this. Well, I guess nothing changed. And of course it didn't, because strength develops through repetition, not perfection. And attention works much in that same way. So every time that your mind wanders and you notice and you gently return, that's a repetition. So that's the workout. Meditation is training for your mind. So you can't expect that if you go to the gym and you have a goal to bench press 200 pounds and you're not able to do that your first time in the gym. Well, if you would tell somebody that, they would say, well, of course, that's completely unreasonable. It takes a lot of practice. And it's the same thing with training our mind. So the goal isn't to keep your attention from wandering forever. It's just to strengthen your ability to notice when you're not focusing on what you intended to, and to strengthen your ability to return. So when we realize this, something really beautiful happens. Instead of becoming frustrated every time our mind wanders, we begin celebrating the moment that we notice, because noticing means we're aware. So let's talk about why this matters. Our brains are constantly filtering an incredible amount of information. So attention helps determine what rises into our conscious awareness. And when we repeatedly practice directing our attention, we're exercising brain systems that are involved in sustained focus, self-regulation, and cognitive control. The research suggests that consistent mindfulness practice is associated with changes in regions of our brain like the prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, and they both play really important roles in attention, monitoring, and being able to respond flexibly. Another interesting finding is that experienced meditators often become quicker at noticing when their minds have drifted. So think about that. The goal isn't to never lose focus. The goal is to recognize more quickly when we've become lost and gently come back. And that same skill can carry into our everyday lives. You notice that you're spiraling into a worry. You're able to come back. You notice that you're caught in self-criticism. You're able to come back. You notice you've been replaying yesterday's argument. You're able to come back. Meditation isn't just training us to pay attention to the breath. It's training us to recognize when we've left the present moment. One of the biggest shifts that meditation offers isn't fewer thoughts. It's a different relationship with the thoughts. So imagine that you're sitting beside a busy highway. The cars are continuing to drive by. You don't need to chase every single one, and you also don't need to stop the traffic. You can simply watch. So thoughts can be like those cars. Some maybe are more pleasant to look at. Some are painful. Some are completely random. The practice isn't about stopping that. It's just about noticing that you have a choice about whether to climb into every passing car or to simply notice them go by. So, as in every episode of the series, I want us to practice together because sometimes the information, it's only valuable if you practice. So it's like if you go to a doctor and you receive a prescription for a medication that he says will help you. No matter how brilliant this doctor is, if you don't actually take the medication, then you're not going to benefit from it. So the part of this practice, a lot of it is not just knowledge-based, it's experiencing it. And I want you to learn to trust yourself. And just because I'm giving you information that I think is helpful and has been helpful for me, I want you to try it in your own life to see, is this going to be helpful for me? So let's practice together. I want you to find a comfortable position. Allow your hands to rest wherever they naturally fall. And if it feels comfortable, you can gently close your eyes or simply soften your gaze, whatever feels best to you in this moment. Take a slow, deep breath in and a slow, deep breath out. And now just allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm. No reason to change it. We just want to notice. So bring your attention to a place where you can most easily feel your breath. And maybe that's the cool air moving in your nostrils when you're breathing in. Maybe it's the warmer air hitting your right here when you're exhaling. Maybe it's your chest rising and falling. Or maybe it's your abdomen expanding with each breath. There isn't a right place. Just simply choose one. So now, allow your attention to rest there. You don't need to control the breath, only observe it. So as you sit, your mind will wander. That's what minds do. But when you notice that you've become lost in thought, just note it by silently saying, thinking. And this isn't a criticism, it's just a gentle acknowledgement. And then you can kindly escort your attention back to your breath. No judgment, no frustration, just returning again and again. Each return is another repetition, and each return is strengthening your capacity to be present with what is. So let's stay here together for a few quiet breaths. Now you can begin noticing sounds around you. You can notice your body. Feel your feet on the floor or whatever surface they're against. And you can take one slightly deeper breath. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. And maybe in that you notice that it was challenging for you to sit with yourself in silence, even for that brief pause, to practice just sitting with yourself and focusing on your breath. And if that was the case, there's no judgment, there's no criticism, you weren't doing anything wrong, you're just noticing. And that's what I want you to recognize is the goal of this, is to just increase your awareness, to notice, and to be able to shift your attention. So I hope that you can see, if you leave this video, you're seeing things a little bit differently, and that your wandering mind isn't the problem. That's actually the place where the practice begins. So every time you notice, you've already succeeded. So this week, I invite you to let go of one question. How long did I stay focused? And replace it with another. How many times did I gently come back? Because every return is an act of awareness. Every return is an act of kindness toward yourself. And over time, those small moments begin to shape not only how you meditate, but how you live. So thank you for practicing with me today. In our next episode, we're going to explore an open awareness meditation. And that's a practice that teaches us to stop chasing our thoughts and begin resting in awareness itself. Until next time, may you meet the moments with awareness, compassion, and curiosity. Thank you.